I would like to do this. I would like to start off today's show with a little bit of a personal story. And before I do that, I'm gonna pop some pills here. Come a long way. Um, I'm gonna drink some more coffee. What's funny is this pill here, spironolactone. There's two kinds of these that I've had. One of them tastes like acid. This one tastes like it has like a minty flavor to it, and I find that interesting. The yellow ones that I've had taste like acid. Like if you don't swallow those within 0.15 seconds, right? Your mouth, you won't be able to taste food for a couple days. And I'm not even joking. I remember one time I was trying to take my medication before bed, and I had like a dry mouth, I didn't have that much water, and I didn't have any water or food around me, and I just wanted to go to sleep. But it's like, I got to take the pill first. So I couldn't swallow it. And I ended up having it on my tongue for like 3 fucking seconds, and then it started to disintegrate, and then that's when it turned into like it acid tasting. It's awful. It's terrible, and I couldn't swallow it. I tried so much, so I spit it out, went downstairs, got water, drank the water, put like the mushy like pill back in my mouth, and needless to say, when I woke up in the morning, my tongue was still very uncomfortable. I don't know how I got to sleep that night. But I'm gonna pop some more medication here. For those wondering, you can look at the title of this video and or broadcast. Today is my 3-year traniversary, as they say. And in this instance, they is defined as me. I am they. But that is what they say. And so I want to talk about that. I didn't do a little 2-year thing last year. I don't think I did. I don't know, man. Did I? Maybe I did. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. It's cool. Like you can kind of do these as like a little bit of a time capsule, a little timesheet. 3 years is a pretty long time. I'm in it to win it, and I thought I would talk about my experiences. So, um, now this is of course going to be, I'm not scripted. Maybe I should have scripted. I don't know. I don't know. Um, but yeah, a lot of people, and at this point, I feel like most people watching this might know that I'm trans. But there's still like I still get comments like fucking every single day of me mentioning something about trans-related issues, and then someone saying like I had no idea, and I'm like, okay, sure. If you had no idea, that means I must be doing something right. I don't know. I'm not sure. Then you get these freak shows, right? And because I'm trans on the internet, you're going to get those freak shows that are just like extremely rude and obnoxious about it. And I find that stuff hilarious. It's been several years since I've been open about being trans. It's been about maybe 3.5 years since that point. And I've seen everything. I can assure you, I have seen everything. If you are someone that is watching this broadcast and or video when I post this, and you're someone who is very upset by the fact that I exist, and I exist peacefully and calmly and with maximum positive vibes, if that is upsetting to you, I just want to say there is nothing you can do, nothing whatsoever, to make me upset. You cannot write any, doesn't matter how strongly worded the email or comment is, I will never be upset. So, one thing I can say about being trans and having been on hormones for 3 years now is that I feel as a person a hell of a lot better than I did 3 years ago. And so there's not much of this that I can directly say it's because of stuff like getting on hormones. There's a smudge on my glasses. Give me a sec. Right? Um, versus maybe being in a better living situation versus, I don't know, my outlook on life is a little bit better, but it's all intertwined, it's all interconnected. Um, I've always been very depressed throughout my entire life, really since the age of like 12 or 13. Um, was when I just like kind of resigned myself to like, eh, I'll just kill myself whenever I feel like it. Whenever I feel like that time has come, I'm going to do that. And I just stopped thinking about my future. I kind of just went into I was a complete, husk of a person, a shell of a person. You turn the lights on, no one's home, that kind of a situation. And I can say that me coming out as trans and going across this kind of like last 3 years has really pulled me out of that. And again, I don't know if it's the hormones versus being in a better living situation. Like a year and a half ago, I was still pretty depressed, you know? So it really was in the last year that I've been able to really kind of feel like I'm a more positive influence. I've been working on my body a lot. I've been dieting. Um, I've been exercising. I've been taking care of my health. When you live 10 years of your life when you're a teenager, right, being depressed and having access to junk food, I got extremely heavy. Um, this is just like a blog. This is just a blog, 3-year blog. Give me a fucking break here. Um, but I remember one thing for me when it came to realizing and going through with the hormone stuff was when I lost about 100 pounds. I really wanted to better myself 3 years ago. And when I lost 100 pounds, I realized that I don't feel any better. Like, I feel better physically speaking. I feel better, like, health wise, but I don't feel better mentally speaking. I don't feel better in any of that stuff. And, losing 100 pounds was difficult. That took about maybe 6 months or so. Maybe a year. I don't remember. I don't. One of those things is I didn't really have an official start date, so I think I lost like 30 or 40 pounds, and then I was like, I'm just gonna go for it, and then I lost the rest in like a 6 month time period. Um, and that was like around the time where I started kind of understanding more about the trans stuff, started understanding myself as a person more. And I realized that, you know what, maybe my problem with myself is that I am too overweight. Maybe that's why I'm dissatisfied with my body, the way I look. Maybe that's why I'm dissatisfied. It was one of those things where it's like, could it possibly be? Right? Could that possibly be the case? Could I get lucky? Could I get lucky? I don't know. Maybe the answer was no, by the way. I didn't get lucky. So a couple months after I finished my weight loss journey, um not even really, it was like a month after I finished it. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. It's very scary. I'd never had health insurance at that point. I want to say, yeah, my first 2 years of being on hormones, I didn't have health insurance. So it was one of those things where I was spending hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of dollars a month. And that was my biggest concern going into it, was the financial capacity. Um, because that was around the time where I first started actually making money. So I had the money to actually go about doing all of this, getting the doctor's appointments, getting the medications with no health insurance. Um, Now I don't have as much money as I did back then, but luckily I'm on health insurance now. So kind of evens out. I'm pretty good for right now. Um, but like again, like the first year was very difficult. And this is like, if someone else is out there who's considering hormones, maybe I started at the age of 21. For reference, I'm 24 at this current moment in time, as it has been 3 years. And if I started at 21, I don't know. I don't need to explain basic math. But if you are someone who's around that age range, and you're considering doing this kind of stuff, the first year was very difficult. It was very difficult to get used to a routine of taking medication. I have never taken medication on any sort of frequent basis. There's still a smudge on my glasses. I missed it. Um, Before this. So that took like a couple months to get used to. Um, I never really forgot to take my medication because what I used to do is I used to have alarms. Um, and I used alarms for like maybe the first like year or so, just to kind of get used to it. And at that point, a year later, I'm good to go. I remember this is the thing I do. I take medication. Uh, I'm good to go. And so I don't really use alarms anymore, but that's pretty fun. But yeah, I noticed in the first year or so, there's not many changes that are physical. Um, outside of, the basic stuff, like maybe hair growing a slightly slower, you got some shrinkage in certain locations, not to be confused with the subject of a Seinfeld episode. Very similar, but not identical. And outside of that kind of stuff, there was very little like physical change that I kind of noticed in the first year. Um, but like the year to 2 year mark is kind of where you get that big boost of energy, so to speak. The like the second year, maybe like let's say 6 to 18 months, that kind of stuff. That's where you get a majority of the benefits. You get a lot of fat redistribution, which I've been definitely a huge fan of as far as my personal body shape and size. I feel like my fat redistribution is quite well placed in this 3 year mark as opposed to what it was 3 years ago. Well, 3 years ago, technically, I was like anorexic and weighed like fucking 110 pounds or some shit. Um, but that's, now I actually have fat and it is distributed relatively well. So I appreciate that. That took about maybe 2 years before that was like a very noticeable thing. Like if you do look at a before and after, which I was considering maybe putting on here, but no, I'm not. I'll let you be the detective on your own. But if you look at a before and after, you can definitely notice. When I was like 170 pounds, 4 or 5 years ago, whenever that was, it's a hell of a lot different than what it is now. Let me just tell you. Um, so that's been one of my big things. Um, I mean, I guess as far as other stuff, since I'm just talking about the subject, as far as sex drive, libido, I remember, the first like couple weeks is when you just go from, whatever your schedule was as far as masturbatory um influences or interactions, right, with the with yourself. Um that went straight to zero in the first couple of weeks, to be honest with you. And that's kind of relatively maintained. Um, I'm not a very sexual person. Like as far as like getting into it, I'm not like, I don't really do that kind of stuff too often. It's and especially in stark contrast with when I was like, 18, 19, 20, which is, all I got really to compare to. So, but yeah, that's definitely something that definitely kicks in the first couple of weeks and doesn't really go away. So that's something to definitely, if you're going into this and this is like something you watch, right? If this is like the search algorithm brings you to this video and you're like, what the fuck is this person got to say? That's what I've got to say. But overall, again, as far as mental health goes, I feel fucking great. The last time I felt this happy as a person was when I was like 8 years old, right? Like, and maybe that's why I dedicate my YouTube channel to playing PlayStation 1 games, because I'm just like chasing the high of being a kid again, because that was the last time I was truly kind of happy. But now I'm pretty fucking happy, right? And that's the thing about it, that for me personally, and I know a lot of trans people also go through this kind of stuff. A lot of trans people will say that, like, they're depressed, and a lot of people don't know it's because of gender identity issues, for a long time. To them, it just could be other external factors that they pin focus on. It could just be that they're just depressed and they can't pin focus on anything. They don't know why. And but I can assure you that 3 years later into this little process, I feel at the best ever. I feel like if there is a terminology like prime, I'm in my prime right now, right? Like, I don't know how long it's going to last, right? But I'm in one hell of a bliss period, let me tell you. And it could just be because of the stark contrast with how I used to live compared to how I live now, and how I feel so much better because I'm in such a better situation, because I'm much more comfortable with myself, because I eat much healthier. I used to eat ice cream and fucking french fries every day of the week, I swear to you, and now I haven't had ice cream in fucking months. Maybe every once in a while, if a family member gets fast food, I'll pick off a fry, but like, forgive me, for I have sinned, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing. Um, is it's definitely like as far as like positive, like as far as like oh the dangers of hormones, right? Like I haven't noticed any dangers. The only danger of hormones, and this was my thought process going into it, so nothing has changed, is the financial aspect. Again, when I first started hormones, I had no health insurance. It cost hundreds of dollars a month, right? Doctor visits would be like $300 to $400. Like every couple of months I'd have to do that. So I had to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on this shit. Now, luckily I've got health insurance now, but I'm 24 and a half, mind you. What the fuck happened to the last like couple of months, right? But I'm like 24 and a half-ish, right? And hey, right, my like I was hoping Bernie Sanders would win and we might have something good in a couple years from now, but when I'm 26, I'm fucked, right? So I am fucked when I'm 26. So maybe when I'm making like a 6-year hormone update, maybe I'm going to have a little bit of a different outlook and perspective, right? Who knows, right? But as of right now, I've got health insurance. I'm feeling pretty good. You know, the financial aspect of that was like the biggest danger. Outside of that, everything else, as long as you like read the shit and you know what you're getting into, I wouldn't be scared of anything. It's just going to be exciting. Another thing is you do have to realize that going through hormone stuff like this, 3 years, 2 to 3 years is around where you start to get out of the second puberty phase. Um, and you're going to be very unstable during that moment of your life. You're going to have a lot of instability, mentally speaking. You know, you're going to be very moody. You're going to have all that kind of stuff, right? Um, but really I've been very mentally stable over the past like year and a half or so. And again, I'm not sure if it's due to just the living situation change. I'm not sure if it's due to the diet change. There's a lot of factors here. But from my research and studying and stuff, the first year to 2 years is going to be very tough on your mental capacity, your ability to like function properly, especially if you're in like a very high stress environment, if you've got a lot of family strife, if you've got bad work anxiety, that kind of stuff, it can be a very big deal. So that's definitely something to try to work to prevent from going wrong, I suppose. But again, as far as dangers are concerned, I mean, I'm feeling the best I've ever been. Obviously, I mean, like, just, to be tongue in cheek, I would recommend estrogen to everybody. Cis people, trans people, whatever. Everyone should be taking estrogen. Like, seriously, man. That shit's good as hell. It tastes good, too. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. That shit tastes good. It tastes so good. Like, shit. Like, if this bottle didn't kill me, right? If I would have taken the whole thing, I'd be eating that shit like candy. Now, obviously, I'm joking. I'm not joking about it tasting good, though. It does taste good. But yeah, I just wanted to do like a little bit of a 3-year update. I know there's a lot of people that are trans or cis that look up to me in this regard. So, and I don't really talk about trans stuff that much. That I don't know, like I could talk about it more. Like I'm not averse to it. I just don't really talk about it that much, right? So, I don't know. Maybe I'll talk about it more. But I thought 3 years, that's a good kind of excuse to do this like little monologue. Um, but yeah, so if anyone has questions, I'm always open to answering them in the comment section when I upload this, or in the next few minutes on the live stream. But yeah, that's the end of my little monologue. I'm gonna drink some more coffee. Also, for those wondering, my doses. I've been doing 50 milligrams of spironolactone every evening and morning, so that's 100 total daily, and 2 milligrams of estradiol, in the morning, and 4 in the evenings, so 6 milligrams daily. That has been my prescription, my recipe, and I've been very stable on that for I think the first couple of weeks I was doing like half of that, and then I got bumped up, and then ever since then I have been very stable. Now there have been a few instances where I couldn't afford medication and was off of hormones for a week or 2 weeks, you don't want to do that, folks. You don't want to do that. If you get off of hormones for any period of, and I'm not trying to freak anyone out, but that's really going to fuck up your mental state. So definitely try your best not to let that happen. But also, again, if that does happen because of certain financial situations, you got to prepare for it. You got to know when that date is coming, right? Like if you count out your shit, break them in half, do your best. Know when that day is coming and have like something you can maybe prepare for. Take a day off or something for when that first day is going to happen, because you are going to freak the fuck out. Let me just tell you, I guarantee that's going to happen. But anyway, I don't think I missed anything, and if I did, I'll respond to comments. I'm very open about that kind of stuff. But thank you for listening to me. And I'm going to go do more important things now. So hopefully this was entertaining or informative or any other if or aiding. I don't know. I need to drink more coffee. I'm running out of gasoline here. I'm so sorry.